Are you feeling kind of burnt out? Let's fix that. Hey there, Enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Lago here again with Always Enterprise. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how you can avoid burnout as an entrepreneur. That's right, how to avoid burnout as an entrepreneur. Now, if you're a hard worker, if you're committed to your craft, or if you've ever just kind of put your nose to the grindstone in an obsessive way, odds are you have already experienced or will experience what's known as burnout, right? And it's a common thing. The best of the best, the brightest, and the most intuitive, really, are among the same people who experience burnout. And so as an entrepreneur, this is no different. If you are committed to your craft and trying to launch your product or launch your business in your enterprise, you absolutely can also experience burnout. I certainly have, and everyone else that I know has as well. With that said, I want to give you 3 simple ways that you could possibly minimize burnout, and in the best situation, you can avoid it altogether. So let me give you 3 simple ways to help you avoid burnout, and I trust it's helpful to you. Let's get started. Number 1, identify and eliminate stress triggers. Identify and eliminate stress triggers. All right, I think this is very important. All right, obviously you need to have a level of awareness about you to know what it is that's kind of triggers your stress and gets you triggered in other ways as well, right? As an entrepreneur, you're definitely going to have things in your business that if they pop up, they're going to bug you, right? They're going to set you off in a bad way, you know? Maybe it could be one of those menial tasks in your business that you know that you have to do, you know it's important, and yet you don't want to do it yourself. Right? That's definitely one of the cases in my particular business. So for instance, doing the social media thing, right? If I could give you an example, one of the things that I hate is continuing to scroll through my phone in order to engage with people, right? And to follow up with people on a social media level. I'd rather just be creating content like I'm doing now. All right. And so in a case like that, whether it's that or maybe it's email or something like that, you know, if you don't deal with this, then it's just going to raise your stress levels, right? And it'll keep you from being sharp in the things that you should be doing. So one thing that you can do now is find a way to eliminate it altogether, right? And that doesn't mean that you don't do it. It just means that you don't do it personally, right? It's still going to happen in your business. What you can do now, though, is employ the classic tool that I call delegation, right? Delegation. Just find someone else to do it for you, right? It'll be worth it for you to pay them and to ask someone else to handle it, especially if you train them and tell them exactly the quality that you want it done, the standard that you want it done, held to. But it definitely will be worth it to you to avoid burnout, right? So find ways to do that. Also automation. I've talked to you extensively about automation before. You know, if you think about the average internet marketer, right? The internet marketing entrepreneur, where we spend so much time in the email section, right? And in the messenger bot section, right? And if we had to continue to come up with emails every single day, right? In order to send out to our audiences, you know, that could definitely burn you out. So instead we have autoresponders and we have, other pieces of technology where if we queue this up, it'll be handled out and taken care of for us on our behalf. That's a great way to identify a stress trigger and to get rid of it. So let me encourage you to do the exact same thing. Find out what it is that is triggering your stress, right? Find out different things. Take a good minute to really think about what is it that causes extra stress that I don't need, and then find a way to get rid of it. Usually it just means passing it off to somebody else. Identify your stress trigger, eliminate it. Number 2, free yourself from entrepreneurial guilt. Free yourself from entrepreneurial guilt. Now, if you consider the typical standard entrepreneur, the fact is every entrepreneur that I know who's committed to their business and committed to their work, we will work from sun up to sundown with no questions asked. We will work without even batting an eye, really. We will work tirelessly and relentlessly, especially when we're trying to get something off the ground and up and running. We'll kill ourselves, figuratively speaking, to go ahead and make sure that our work is done to a certain level, a certain success standard, right? And when you do that, sometimes as a result, you neglect yourself of some of the basic pleasures and necessities of life. Things like food and drink, water, drinking water, and also relationships, right? And outside contact with people, right? And it's not that we don't want to enjoy those things, but rather it's that we experience a level of entrepreneurial guilt if we're taking time away from the business that we're supposed to be building to enjoy those things. And I would tell you to just kind of get rid of that mentality altogether, all right? One of the best ways to get around this is to schedule time for those things. Schedule time for yourself, for your family, for your friends, to enjoy the foods that you like. Really just schedule times to take breaks and enjoy some you time, all right? And don't be guilty about it, all right? I know definitely some big name, high profile people who will stand by this as well. Namely, one is of course the great Richard Branson, who said that you should free yourself from any guilt of wanting to enjoy simple pleasures in life. And I tend to agree with him, because I know that any time that I spend away from the business, as long as I'm doing it in a way that makes me happy, and more importantly, makes other people happy as well. So for instance, your wife, your kids, your spouse, your family, all right, time spent with them is going to be time well spent. And it's definitely going to be time that I think offers a certain level of balance, wherein the entrepreneurial life, there really isn't a whole lot of balance, right? There's just not a whole lot. You're committed to building and creating this big business, this thing, right? So anytime that you can take away from that in order to put yourself in a good space of mind, it's definitely time well spent. So make sure that you free yourself from entrepreneurial guilt. Number 3, give back of your time. Give back of your time. One of the best ways to avoid burnout, right? And if you do have burnout, one of the best ways to bounce back from it is to really feel and experience the good in the world, right? And to be a part of that good. And so you can give back. Now, when I talk about giving back, most people automatically just kind of run to the idea of, donations in terms of, philanthropy. And philanthropy is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a great dynamic. But I don't think that there's a better way to experience the true gift of philanthropy than to give back of your time, as opposed to just giving back of your dollars. Sure, it feels good to be able to donate to your favorite cause and your favorite charity, but there's another level, a totally different dynamic that takes place when you give of your time. So some of the ways that you can do that are to maybe mentor up and coming entrepreneurs in your community, or maybe donating a giving of your time and teaching a class, or being a speaker, or visiting with some elderly at a retirement center, or reading books and stories at a library to children, something along those lines, or visiting those who are in the hospital. Obviously you want to do all these things safely and responsibly, but I think you get the point of what I'm trying to make here. Basically, it's to give of your time. There is something that kind of transcends this world when you're able to give back of your time, know that you're doing good in the world, and then know that you are part of that good. You are being the good in the world, right? This is a great way to forget about some of these menial tasks and these other stresses that I'm not saying are not significant, but in the scope of the big picture, they kind of are insignificant. At the very least, it'll take your mind off of the burnout or the things that are causing burnout in your business, to where when you go back to work, you're fresh, you're reinvigorated, you're doing it from a place of, man, I feel really, really good. And that always tends to translate to better work production. There you have it, my friends. This is Jason Lago again with Always Enterprise. I trust this was helpful to you. By the way, make sure that you give me a like, a comment, a subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. On top of that, if you have yet to start your own online business, let me show you how. I'd be delighted to show you. All you have to do is download my free book. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below. It's the Digital Freedom Shortcut, and it outlines exactly how I was able to use this shortcut to leave my six-figure finance career to living the ultimate laptop lifestyle like I'm doing now. I hope that you would go ahead and take advantage of it, and I'll see you on the inside. Take care.